Hey guys, welcome back to another horror movie convention experience video, memory video, whatever you want to call these things. I have two more experience stories that I want to tell you about me attending horror movie conventions. The very first one I have here involves a Horror Hound weekend, and we were in Indianapolis, and they were having a like a Child's Play themed reunion going on of some sort, and Brad Dourif was there. And I've always wanted to meet Brad Dourif because he was in Critters 4. And you guys know, if you watch my channel, how much I love the Critters franchise and everything. So I was super excited to meet him. And I had a Critters 4 poster that I wanted signed. And I've had it signed by several other people. And he was one of the main ones that I needed. So I had to track him down somehow and get him, right? So he did the convention. He's actually was supposed to be at like two or three other conventions that I was attending before, but he'd either canceled during the time I went to the convention, or it was a convention he was at that I couldn't go to. So it was all these things, like it was like years and years and years of me trying to track him down. So finally, he's at a convention. I'm at the convention. We stand in line. Me and my wife stand in line for several hours, and we're waiting to meet Brad Dourif. And I know that he's extremely busy and everything, and it's been a long time since he's done these movies, but I just want him to sign my Critters 4 poster. So we get up there, we're next in line. I lay my poster down, I shake his hand, thank you for coming out, and ask him a few questions about the making of Critters 4. And he absolutely did not remember anything, absolutely nothing about making Critters 4. And his exact words were, I think I was in two of these, wasn't I? And if you know the Critters franchise, you know that he was not in two of them. He was only in part four. And I said, no, you were in part four. It's the very last of the. This was before the other movies came out, but it was like it's the very last one. You were in this one, and your character dies in it. And he was like, no, I was in two of these. I'm pretty sure. No, you were only in part one, or well, only in one of these, and you're really good at it. Any stories from making it? And he was like, I was on set for probably maybe a week, if that. I don't remember anything about it, so I'm sorry, but I think I was in two of them. You weren't in two of them. You're only in one. You're only in part four. That's it. And so he signed my poster, and I shook his hand again, and I left. So it wasn't a bad experience. It was just a very, very awkward experience because there's all these people standing behind me that are listening to me like debate with Brad Dourif whether or not he was in a movie or not. And it's pretty funny because it's awkward for them, it's awkward for Brad, and it's awkward for me, but it is what it is. And it wasn't a bad experience necessarily, but it was just kind of a weird experience. My next story is actually a really, really cool story, and it involves the late Betsy Palmer. And if you don't know who she is, again, shame on you. She played the mom, the killer in Friday the 13th. She was Jason's mother. And this was probably around 2006, I think. And it was at a scare fest. It might have been 2007 or 2008. I can't remember exactly when, but it was like the very first scare fest convention in Lexington, Kentucky. And I traveled down to it, and this is before it's opened up. There's a bunch of people waiting in line to get in, just waiting for it to open. And I get there, the line's long, so I don't feel like standing in line. I'll just wait for everybody to go through first, and then I'll go through. So I grab me something to eat at the food court, and I'm sitting down at my table by myself. I was there by myself, and Betsy Palmer walks through the food court, and she's like looking around at different places to eat at. And she sits down, and she like starts going through her stuff, and then she looks over and she looks at me. I look at her. She's like, "Hi, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm good. I can't wait for the convention to open so I can come to your table to talk with you and stuff." And she was like, "Well." She picks her stuff up, walks over and sits down at my table with me, and starts talking to me about the convention, about how conventions I've been to, and what the culture is like with the conventions and stuff. And she was just really, really cool. She was like, "Feel free to ask me anything while you're eating." She's like, "You don't need to wait until we go inside." And I was like, "Well, I hate to bother you while you're on your personal time and stuff." And she was like, "No, no, that's perfectly fine." And I mean, we sat there and talked for 15, 20 minutes while I was eating, waiting for the convention to open up. And she was just super nice. One of the coolest moments I've ever had in meeting celebrities. and I wouldn't take any of that stuff back. Like, that's just, it's so great. Even though when you go to conventions and sometimes you have bad experiences, it never outdoes the good experiences that you do have from going to these things. So I got to meet Betsy Palmer. I got to technically have lunch with Betsy Palmer, talk with her about Friday the 13th and stuff. And this is a common story, but she was going on to tell me the story about how the only reason she did it was because she needed a car. So she bought her car from that. Which that's a known story. She tells that story every time. But I was just happy to be, you know, standing next to a celebrity eating and just listening to her talk and tell these stories. So, but it was a really cool story, guys. And I wanted to share that with you. Eating lunch with Betsy Palmer, and then the awkward Brad Dourif story. But that was two more experiences that I've had, and I have a lot more to go over and talk about. So keep an eye out for another video. See you guys.